It's already week 3 of the AUDL season, and fans are already getting treated to one of the marquee matchups of the season. The number 1 in the power rankings against the number 2 in the power rankings. The New York Empire against the DC Breeze. I keep asking these questions about the season, and with a game with gigantic playoff implications already, it seems like only one question needs to be asked for this one. Who of the two is more prepared? So far, the DC Breeze are 2-0 after a 21-16 win over the Carolina Flyers on the road to kick off the season, and Sunday's 2019 victory over the Philadelphia Phoenix at home. Against the Flyers, who were definitely trying out some new combinations on both sides of the disc, Carolina found a way back after DC took control. But the Breeze closed out on a 6-1 run and left the Flyers in the dust in the fourth. Against Philadelphia, the score was 10-5 Breeze early, but as the rain picked up, so did the Hotbirds, who came storming back to tie it up at 13. But the Breeze resettled and calmed things down to trade until the end and came out victorious. For New York, it's hard to read much past the first quarter of their first two games. Against Philadelphia in a monsoon, they were up 8-1 after one, with a buzzer-beating 3v1 situation with Jack Williams as the one putting the exclamation point on it. A 3-0 run by Philly in the third with some breaks made things interesting for a moment, but the Empire slammed the door and won 17-8. Against Toronto, both teams took some early chances, but the Empires paid off and the Rushes didn't, finishing the first quarter down 5-1. Both teams got a bit cleaner, with New York cruising to the 21-11 win. Both teams have played Philly, with DC getting a much different version of Philadelphia than the one that New York did, and Carolina was a pretty big test to start the year. On paper, the Breeze have had the harder games, at least on paper, and that could also mean that on paper they are more prepared at this point in the season. But, and this is the big one, preparation is taking place right now for both these sides, and I'm wondering who has done more to show their problem solving, who still has a few more tricks up their sleeve. Both the Empire and the Breeze have already shown their break glass in case of emergency aces, which is to cross Ben Yant and Roy McDonald back over from defense to offense. The Empire did it when the Phoenix rattled off some breaks, and the Breeze did it when Philly came surging back. Option 1 to right the ship was never going to be a surprise, but the fun is that both these teams have a myriad of options to problem solve across lines, which means that there are hypothetically plenty of more aces up sleeves. For the Empire, there is O-line John Randolph or O-line Ben Katz. There is D-line Jack Williams and D-line Jeff Babbitt. Then there is putting John Lithgow and Jeff Holm on Ben Yant's shoulder, putting him in a trench coat and creating a mega defender. And the refs might not even question it. For DC, there's O-line David Cranston and O-line Musa Jah. And since he only played against Carolina, 5 O points and 9 D points, there's still a whole heck of where is Joe Merrill going to make his biggest impact this season. Both teams started the season and still have a lot of things to work out. And this game will be a great litmus test to see how far along each are in their progression. For the Breeze, it's how the likes of Andrew Roy, Cole Jurek, and Thomas Edmonds have fit into the offense. Against Philly, it wasn't the completely unwavering short game O-line that you'd expect. But after 2 weeks, one thing is clear. Tyler Monroe may be even more dangerous in the middle of the field, and Christian Boxley is one of the biggest difference makers in the league. Boxley has 5 goals, 4 assists, and 2 blocks already, a plus 10, leading the team in receiving by more than 150 yards, and also contributing 9 hockey assists. The Empire has a lot to game plan for, but early returns are saying that the conversation starts with Christian Boxley. And it's funny because it feels like Box has been around for a while, but he's only played a grand total of 21 AUDL games, 6 in 2018 and 13 last season. He's one of those cases where there were ideas about him at the start of the season and where he ranks amongst his teammates in star power, and he has already very much changed that conversation. With the Empire, the question that I asked in the preseason, which is a variation of what happens if you force Ryan Osgar out, has already been answered in a number of different and successful ways. 7 goals and 6 assists, a plus 10 in 2 games, that's the early answer. Jack Williams has 5 goals and 5 assists, a plus 9 right behind him, showcasing the ability to throw in the elements that few can boast. But the next 3 plus-minus leaders on the Empire are who remind you where the preparation for the Breeze lies. The offense is unchanged from last season and knows what they have to do, but it's the D-lines and their ability to ascend to higher levels of excellence that make the Empire the class of the league. Ben Yant has 6 goals, 2 assists, and 3 blocks. John Randolph, 1 goal, 5 assists, and 3 blocks. And Ben Katz has 5 assists and 3 blocks. Sample sizes are still rather low through 2 games, with some teams playing just 1 game, but the Empire are top 3 in scores against, the only team with less than 10 per game. They're also top 3 in blocks per game with 14.5, breaks with 11.5, and the only team with less than 200 opponent completions per game. And crediting the O-line on defense, it's also opponent breaks that they're top 3 in. Breton Tan is fitting perfectly as an almost like-for-like replacement for Jabron Meeser, and the Dross, Ryan has 5 blocks and Mike has 3 blocks. Having completely blown up my spot that, yeah, okay, I know them and I might have been lying a little bit about that will they take a step back idea. But it's hard to blame me, I have to get your attention somehow. So far we're seeing what we thought could happen. The Breeze has already shown that they arguably have the deepest O-line in the league with a lot of options to solve a lot of problems. And the Empire D-line hasn't missed a beat from last year's championship run. Not only did they take it away, but they also scored the disc with the likes of Ben Katz and Ben Yant and Marquez Brown-Lee and you name it without calling a timeout. With this being Daryl Stanley's last season on the sideline for the DC Breeze, I do think that over the course of 2 to probably 3 matchups this season, he might be pacing out the number of looks and things that he throws at the New York Empire, or maybe he'll throw it all on the table and say, let's get this one now here at home. For the Empire, they have shown 2 games in that even dropping into second gear with the large lead, they aren't happy with anything short of complete domination for 4 quarters. And while this week's matchup is on the road, you can already start to get your tickets for the next time the Empire are at home, which is June 10th against Atlanta, or June 16th against the Boston Glory, or the big rematch against the DC Breeze on June 30th up in New Rochelle. And as we always say, we'll see you there.